So my intentions with this video is to help someone that's younger, or it's really for the younger people. Um so I was reading about the man that Jesus healed who was blind at birth. And it made me think about the younger people who are born into situations that aren't favorable. And I don't want to say versus, but and people that sin at a young age, not really knowing what sin is just yet. I'm a little older, so at this point in my life, I feel like God has used what happened to me in my past to be able to help people that are younger than me. So that's why I said my intentions for this is for people that are younger. When I was younger, I was pulled into sin without knowing. And God hid it from me so that He could use it later in life for His glory. That's the best way to put it. He used it so that He could use it for His glory later in life. But from that situation, I was an angry child. I was so angry and I didn't know why, because God hid it from me. He didn't want me to know the source of that anger until it was time for me to know. I say that because there are people who are in a certain age range that may not understand why they're going through things, but instead of turning to God to reveal it to them or try to figure out why He placed you in those situations, we turn to other things to kind of try to fill that void. And it wasn't until I grew closer to God that He had to reveal to me why I went through those things so that I can be a vessel for Him to help people who are in similar situations. Some people are in those situations because, like this blind man, He placed y'all in those situations from birth to prove His point and who He is, again, giving Him glory. And other situations we placed ourselves in, again, to give Him glory because He wants us to draw closer to Him. So basically what happened in this passage is there was a man that was blind at birth, and people were asking why or who sinned to make this man blind. And Jesus pretty much told him some people are placed in certain situations so that God can work miracles through them. So Jesus pretty much spit on the ground, put some dirt on this man's eyes, and told him to go to a certain pool and wash his eyes, and he'll be able to see. Now, this shocked people because people knew he was born blind, so they were trying to figure out how he was able to see, because that was a real miracle for them at that time. They knew this man. They knew he was blind. Some people know you. They know your situation, and they know these things. You was like this from birth. They know that. They know this. You know this. But God used this as a moment to work a miracle through him, and for now, modern times, through you. So they're questioning, how did this happen? And they then pretty much took this man over to the authorities because at this time, they're trying to figure out who Jesus is, which a lot of people in our times are trying to figure out who Jesus is too. And that's how God gets his glory, because the word is living. Like, it's trying to help you in this time by showing you things from then that are still happening today. So the authorities are just like, okay, tell us how you were able to be able to see. And the man's like, well, Jesus placed mud on my eyes, told me to go wash it, and now I'm able to see. They still didn't believe him, so they made him go get his parents to confirm that he was blind at birth. And his parents are just like, yeah, he was like this at birth. And the authorities just couldn't believe it. They, in their mind, they didn't understand how Jesus was able to work a miracle like that, because they still didn't fully understand who Jesus was at this time. But again, that man was born like that so that God could use Jesus in that situation to show what God's intentions and purpose was at that time and this time now. So they're questioning this man. He doesn't really know how to explain. He just knows that he was born that way. And now all of a sudden he's able to see. And he has all these people asking him questions as if he was the cause for him, one, being blind and now being able to see. So it kind of irritates the man, because he's just like, I don't have the answers for this. All I know is that this guy that is saying he's sent from God is showing me that he's sent from God, because he just worked a miracle through me. And I can't explain how. I was born like this, but now I can see. And how that is translated in today's time, this is for those people that just feel like they was born that way, and it's a fight inside of them wanting to be free, don't know how to be free, but you have the chance to be free. You just have to believe in Jesus, and God's gonna work what he does to transform you into who he originally created you to be. Originally, we're supposed to be able to see. This man was born with, I'm just going to say, a deformity, because technically that's what that is, with him being blind. And Jesus comes up doing things that isn't natural to be able to make this man that was born blind see again. But he's only able to do this because God allowed him to come to earth to be able to do things like this, to show how good he is. Some things in your life you had no control over. You don't have any control over. It's really God just trying to show who he is through the way that he plans and does things, to show how great that he is and how much he cares for us, and how he uses us as his vessels to show himself to people that don't believe, so that they can believe in him. Now, with some people that was born into situations not knowing who God is, not knowing who Jesus is, but because God is so good, he has made a way that he wants you to draw to him. Excuse me. So he's allowed you to do certain things that has pushed you away from him, just so you can realize that you're in these situations from yourself, but you have a way to get back to him. So even though you may not have been born a certain way, you were out here sinning, doing things of the world just because maybe that's something you've seen, or maybe that's something you were curious about, or who knows why. Who knows? It's so many reasons why people sin. We were born in the flesh, so it's inevitable. Everybody sins. And I think that's something that also needs to be said, because some people beat themselves up thinking that other people don't sin, even though everyone sins. They may not just sin the way that you sin, but it's all still sin at the end of the day. And that's how God gets his glory too, because his whole thing is he just wants everyone to draw back to him. Our strength, his strength is in our weaknesses, which means that the things that you feel like you can't overcome, he is glorified through that, because you have to come to him to be able to overcome these things. And you can only overcome these things by Jesus, who he created to be able to help you overcome these things, which again is showing who he is and why he does the things that he does, to show how good he is to us, and just his nature, who he is. Now, this passage is John 9, 1 through 34.